So, a very good morning to all the participants today. So, today we are going to have a 4 hours workshop on research proposal and research methodology. My name is Dr. Sarata and I'm from School of Mathematical Sciences, USM. All of you are welcome for the workshop today. Overall, the workshop today is divided into few topics. First topic, I'll be explaining to you how to write a good research proposal. Follow up by what is research methodology and how to develop a good research methodology. And also after that, it'll be followed by scientific writing. Scientific writing is mostly on how to write a good paper to be accepted in index journals and also non-index journal in the aspect of publications. And finally, my talk for my workshop today will be concluded by how to write out your research output and also some of research ethics in doing research. So, let us move on to the first part of our talk today, research proposal. How to do a good research proposal. So most of the participants today are fourth-year undergraduate students um, and also master students. So for undergraduate students, until now you are uh, doing your undergraduate courses. So if you see your undergraduate courses, most of the courses is fully guided by the lecturers. The lecturers will give you the lecture notes, give you what is the next topic you must do. All the flow of the courses will be given out to you during the beginning of the semester itself. So you are being guided at the beginning of the semester. What are the flow of the course? So it is easier for you to organize your work for the course for throughout the semester. Furthermore, you'll be helped out for the course by giving coursework like quiz assignments and so on. So most 100% during your undergrad, you are guided how to do your work for your course. But this is different from undergraduate studies. So undergraduate studies and graduate studies are totally different. For graduate studies, for students who choose to do their graduate studies by research, you are fully independent. You have to do a new course. That means a new which nobody have done it before, and you need to propose a new idea to be accepted by your supervisors, for the audience, that means your examiners and the fellow researchers. So you are starting from scratch. That means you don't know anything about the field yet, but you have to choose a topic and you have to do research regarding it on yourself. Sure, your supervisor is there to guide you, but 90% of your work is organized by you. Must have your own research plan, your work plan, how you want to do your work. So this research consists of many obstacles, such as you have to do literature review to get some ideas on what you want to do. What is your research going to do? So in order to start your research, you must read, you must understand what your ancestor in that research have done. What are their ideas? What are their proposals for you to do the research? And furthermore, you will be also overwhelmed with problems such as how you want to get the data set, how you want to do the analysis, where you want to start. For applied mathematics students, you should have strong programming. Programming here means MATLAB, C, mathematical, and so on. So, beside your brushing yourself in theory part, you also need to brush yourself in programming part. And finally, never forget about funding. Okay, for undergrad, maybe you have sponsor like BTPT and JPN to do your studies. But for graduate studies, your funding are limited. Okay, so you have to do a good research proposal in order to apply for funding. Okay, so this is for a written PhD, but the journey is the same for MSc also. You are going to do a very messy path. You're going to go through a messy path in order to complete your thesis. Your thesis is not only your effort, but it consists of your sorrow, how much you have obstacles you have gone through. Everything is your output for your research studies. Okay, so let us just give you a glance on what is School of Mathematical Sciences postgraduate degree programs. This one is especially can become an eye-opening for fourth year students, undergraduate students to decide to pursue your studies in School of Mathematical Sciences. So, altogether, you have School of Mathematical Sciences, we offer courses for Master PhD. All the applications is through online and you have to apply through IPS website. So, there are few types of MSc which is offered by our school. The first one is MSc in Mathematics by Mixed Mode. This one usually in September, start with Sem 1 and February is the semester 2. So this one always we put advertisement in newspaper, Facebooks, and we also have some catalogs to distribute to students. And you can get also information about this course from IPS website. The admission required for mixed mode is you must for undergraduate degrees in mathematics or related subject, and you must have a CGPA of at least 2.75. For this course, it's a mixed mode, so you'll be attending classes to take a final exam and also will do a dissertation. That means a short project. Okay, this is not a fully research for you to do a thesis. This one is a report on a minor part of research. Okay, so the courses taught for MSc in mathematics is listed here. The 5 courses. Each courses is 4 units. For dissertation as well, also altogether you must achieve CGPA of 3.0 or higher. So for dissertation it's MAT 510, which will contribute to 20 units. And for MSc, the duration of the program is 1 to 2 years for full-time students and 2 to 4 years for part-time students. Then we have MSc in statistics. Okay, this also offered mixed mode, and the admission requirement is the same. For course structure, you have 5 courses that you need to complete, which consists of 20 units, and the dissertation course also you must take and achieve for CGPA of 3 or higher. So this one also we have a dissertation known as MSc 566 of 20 units. And the durations of the program is similar with the previous master course. Also, we offer MSc Teaching of Mathematics by Coursework. This one is for undergraduates degree in mathematics, and also candidates must be involved in the teaching profession. This one majorly will be taken by teachers who want to further up their studies. For this course, you need to take compulsory courses. We have 32 units. And also the conditions of CGPA is the same, 3.0 or higher. Okay. And then we have elective course. Altogether, there are 5 elective courses, but students need to choose just 3 courses only. The duration of this program is 18 to 24 months for full-time students and 30 to 48 months for part-time students. Okay. And another type of MSc and PhD is by research. For PhD, we don't have coursework. It is by research. And for students who are interested to further up your studies in PhD, it is advisable for you to do MSc also by research, so that you can carry out your research from MSc to PhD. So it will be easier for you to collect background of the research field. So you can, if you want, have any idea or plan to do PhD, so you are recommended to do your MSc by research. Okay, these degrees through the research modes require a minimum of 1 calendar year of research work for master degree and at least 2 calendar years for PhD degree. The research topic depends on your discussion with your supervisor. So if you do your MSc and PhD by research, it is advisable for you to find your supervisor. Then you discuss with your supervisor what is your topic that you are interested. But at the beginning of discussion with your supervisor, maybe you can get a topic A, but not necessarily when you propose a research proposal for topic A, it's not compulsory you must do topic A for your master. You can amend it or changes topic according to your research journey. That one is mutual understanding between the student and also with the supervisor. Okay, if you do MSc by research, the intake is throughout the year, and it is you can apply anytime and you can register any time of the year calendar, academic calendar. Okay, and the duration is written as this. For PhD by research, also the same process. You can apply throughout the year and the admissions is anytime during the semester ongoing. Okay, so now we move on to the core of our workshop today about research proposal. We will look into how to write a good research proposal. If you Google or you can refer to any of the articles, you can see there are various ways has been proposed on how to write a research proposal. Overall, a research proposal will consist of few points or aspects which will make your proposal more weightage. So today I will discuss with you all what is the major component that must consist in a research proposal and how to develop that component in order to impress the evaluator or the audience for your proposal, who is going to read your proposal. So, a research proposal, they are aims to convince the reader that your project is important. If you can explain how important is your proposal to your reader, then only the reader will have the confidence in your work. So you must give why your proposal is good. You must explain, you must justify, you must connect your proposal with some recent scenario, past scenario, how it's going to contribute to the knowledge domain in your research field. So you must do a very thorough research on that topic. Okay. So why you need to write research proposal? Okay. The purpose of a proposal. Okay. It is to make clear the aim of the proposed research and establish its importance. Okay, for example, you want to do a topic about, for example, my work is neural network. Okay, if you want to do a topics for neural networks, I must tell why I choose this topic. What is the importance of neural networks in our daily life? How it's going to upgrade the contribution in the research field of neural networks? How is my work going to contribute? Next, to specify how the research will be undertaken and the time and other resources that will be needed to achieve it. It means that in the proposal, okay, I choose neural network. Okay, I'm going to focus on, for example, a network called as Hopfield network. Okay, so I must explain in this field network, what is the research that I'm going to do? How long is my research going to be? What is the limit of my research? Because research is an ongoing project. You cannot say you stop here. It is an ongoing. You should know how you must able to control. This is sufficient for my master. So I can stop my research here. So in order to stop in that particular path, you must be able to justify what you have achieved in your research during that part. Okay, next, to justify these choices and establish your credibility and competence as a researcher. Okay, you get an output. You must explain your output. How good is your output? How establish your output in your research field. For example, I developed a model to measure the pollutant in the lake. So that model should be should show how good it can measure the pollutant in the lake compared with an existing model. And as a researcher, that is you, how you have utilized your knowledge in order to develop the model. So you must show the reader this is a strong work and it is supported by evidence. Okay. Next, to demonstrate the feasibility of what you propose. And this is what I mean. You say this model A can use to calculate the population growth of dengue. So you must you must do some real life simulations, to do some other simulated data sets to show how good is that model in doing the prediction. Okay. Next, to serve as a vehicle for feedback from client and also sponsor. For example, if you are applying for funding, for example, you are doing some research regarding oil palm prices and so on. Maybe you can apply for pharma or other agricultural agency for funding. So in order for them to fund your research, you must convince them. You must show how reliable is your model, how good is your model in order for them to give you money to do your research. So they are taking out the money. So it depends on your hand how you are going to convince, give that money to me. So that is the work of a research proposer. Next, to prevent future disagreements over intended activities, outcomes, and resources. Okay, when you do your research proposal, you're going to say, this work is going to be my work for my master. So during your proposal defense, or when you present your proposal, right, you will be presenting in front of some expert in this field. They can give you feedback. Hey, your model is something wrong here. This parameter is not suitable for this model. So you cannot use. So that experts can advise you on how this model is going to work out. What is the disadvantage in that model that you have to look into? What is the limit, obstacles in doing the algorithms that you have proposed? So in order for others to comment, others must understand what are you proposing. So you have to write a proposal which others can understand. Okay, and also from the research proposal, you can also be guided how to do research methodology. That means methodology, the word method itself in the word methodology shows the way how you want to carry on your research. So from your major idea only, you can sub-list all the activities that you're going to do in order to complete your proposed research. The list of activities and how you're going to carry out to complete your research is known as methodology. In the second part of the workshop today, we will look into how to design a good research methodology. Furthermore, research proposal also answer the research gap. Okay, for example, maybe 3 years back, your supervisor or your supervisor student would have proposed an idea about, for example, about model for COVID-19, how to diagnose COVID-19 using a particular model. But now you feel I have to add on this parameter into the model to make it, I want to enhance the model so it can work effectively. So in another word, you are trying to fill up the research gap between the previous work and also your work now. So your research gap is very important to justification of your research proposal. You have to show how important is the research gap you have tackled need to be overcome in order to make the model to be a valid one. And also, this research proposal can be transformed into journal articles. Remember, for your master or for your PhD later on, you have to publish. IPS have its graduation requirement of publication, which I will show in the next slide. Okay. Besides that, research proposal, as what I said, for funding and research grant is very important. Okay, this is the graduation requirement for research mode program for our university. So if you see, we are in the cluster of science, engineering, and health and medical. So for master level, you must have at least one article journals accepted or published in journals or proceedings indexed by Web of Science or Scopus. Okay, for PhD, this is the criteria. And for this publications, this one must be accepted and must be published with the supervisor, not with others from other universities and so on. The candidate must be the first student author. Only the first student author is allowed to use this article to fulfill his or her graduation requirement. That means you cannot be the co-author. You must be the first author. Usually, in a journal publications, corresponding author will be your supervisor. But that one depends on between you and your supervisors, how you're going to negotiate or how it's going to work out. And also plagiarism. This article should not be plagiarized. That plagiarize here means copy. You copy others' work, you send as your work. You cannot do that. Even the journal also won't accept a plagiarized work. The topic of publication is important. Thing is must be related to your thesis or dissertation. Some students, they are doing, for example, they're doing a MSc in mathematics, but their publication is something about social work, about educations and so on. No, it won't be accepted. They will cross-check your publications with your title of your research and your research field. Should be same. And also your affiliations. Affiliations here means your address. Where are you attached with? You must put UFM's affiliations. Even though you are a student who are being funded by your university, you can put, sometimes one author can carry two affiliations, but make sure USM affiliation is there. Okay? And also blacklisted journals also is being prohibited. You cannot apply, and how you want to know whether a journal is blacklisted or not, the website is even there. And also we have predatory journals. Predatory journals is usually they'll charge very high page charges, and their review process is very shallow only. So like this type of journals are blacklisted. So the publication in such journals are not accepted. Okay. So here, what is a research proposal? Step to write a research proposal. Overall, this is the important steps in writing a research proposal that is being suggested by most of the university. Later on, in my next slides, I will explain to you what is the research proposal that it's appropriate for you to follow in order to convert to publications later. Okay, overall, okay, sorry, I go to the previous slide. Okay, overall, a research proposal must have the title. The title must be a clear one. Even though it's short, it must fully cover your idea of your research. Once people read your title, they must catch, oh, this paper or this proposal is regarding his work. So it must attract the reader also. Next, it must consist of abstract, introduction, literature review, research methodology, discussions, and citation. Later on, we will go through one by one of these parts. Okay. Most of the research proposals nowadays are advisable to follow Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So try to align your research proposal with this SDG. What is SDG? The Sustainable Development Goals or global goals are collection of 17 interlinks. Sometimes it's also listed as 18. Designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future. What is sustainable? That means something that is not enough in a population. So we want to sustain some plus add on and make it more comprehensive. That is sustainable development. This SDG actually was set in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and intended to be achieved by the year 2030. This one actually the landscape architect blueprinted a 10-year plan for regeneration of the magnificent former gardens. This is we are going to make research in a bigger scope. Okay. So these are the 18 SDGs that we want to fulfill. So try to align this SDG in your research proposal because most of the funding, research grants are looking into SDG. They want to see your research proposal, your research idea is supporting sustainability in what aspect. For example, for mathematics, we mostly will be focusing on good health and well-being. For example, modeling of dengue populations in Tasik Harapan. Maybe you want to propose a model or a tool to measure how the breeding of the Aedes or what. So you actually, you want to avoid the sickness of malaria and so on, right? So it's towards the medical side, good health and well-being. About population pollution, as what I said from first, you want to create an algorithm or modeling to measure how much polluted in the river, in the lake, and so on. So this is can be considered in SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. Next, quality educations. Maybe you are going to propose a new tool, how you want to measure or how you want to enhance. For example, you want to develop an algorithm for the scientific calculator or anything. That means you are going to upgrade, contribute towards a more feasible education. So that one can be considered as a quality education. Next is like industry, innovations and infrastructure. For example, in quality control, statistics and so on, maybe you come with control chart to analyze the input, output of a production in a companies and so on. So this is can be considered as SDG 9. This is life below water and life on land is other science and technology areas. Okay. Mostly in mathematics, these are the SDGs that will be emphasized. But it depends on your proposal and your title. Which SDG are you going to tackle? So you at least need to fulfill one of the 18 SDGs lah, to get your proposal a good merit. Okay? Okay. This is overall that I'm going to discuss in the proposal. A good proposal consists of executive summary, problem statement, research objective, research question, brief methodology, Gantt chart and milestone, budget, research output. As a research students, whoever have doing their research, sure you have gone through all the terms in your work. If you take a journal article, read it, you cannot run away from most of these questions. And also not questions actually, most of title in your articles or journals. So today we are going to see one by one how to make it more concrete, readable, and accepted by the audience. Okay. So first we start with title of your research proposal. Okay. Your name carry, if people want to call you, they call you by your name. You need some identity. Same like your research proposal, it must have an unique identity. Okay, the title, you must make sure that includes all the important, not all the important keywords, but most of the important keywords that will relate your proposal to the specific field of study. The title should be short. Don't do a very, very long, around 30 words like that. And describe what your research is about. It should also give an indication of your approach or key questions. For example, modeling of climate changes in tropical area by using XYZ variables parameters. Okay, in that you already put the keyword parameter, modeling, what is the method you're going to use, and for what tropical climate. So all the keywords you already join together in your title. Okay, the title must be informative about the content. Avoid using abbreviation like EG for examples like that, or don't put in your title. Make it direct. People can read it, understand, by people can match what is the keywords and get some ideas of your topic. You must show your research subject, scope, variables, and theoretical issues. Just now, what is the research subjects? Tropical climate. What is the scope? I want to see how this model going to influence the climate. The variables is the XYZ variables, and the issue is the how the model going to settle the problem. Okay, so from title itself, it can attract the reader. Okay, if I see a title, they said COVID-19 tool, just like that. So if I read the title, I don't know what is the tool about, how the tool is going to help the COVID-19 problem. So I couldn't get a rough idea. So if I am the evaluator of the research proposal for any grants or anything, I'll just put it aside. Okay, later on I will read it, because it's not attracting my attention. So if I see something, oh, COVID-19 detection by using cough symptoms analysis wave meter. So if I see it, wow, this is a very catchy title. So I want to know how they are linking the cough with the wave meter. How it's going to work, and then how it's going to be detected the COVID-19. That is something interesting. So it has catched the reader's audience to read the proposal. Furthermore, your proposal also must be easy to understand by readers and intended audience. Remember, sometimes the person who read your proposal is not necessary to be a specialist in your field. It can be somebody. For example, I'm in applied mathematics. Maybe I can ask to read a proposal on pure mathematics. So when I read already I have no idea what is the topic about. When I read the title is very general and never explain anything to me or catch my attention. then I just can put it aside. I say, oh, rejected. Okay? Use words that can create a positive impression and stimulate reader. Okay, we must use words with positive. That means COVID-19 can cause that. So this is not a positive. Can I give me a positive? What are you going to do? Further, you must think. You must challenge the reader's mind to think what is my proposal is going to be. You read my, you see my title, then you will be attracted with my title. You read my proposal. That is what must be in your title. Okay. Important keywords for fundamental research. Okay, for example, some of the catchy or some of a very words that can impress the readers, like mechanisms, behavioral, interactions, reaction kinetics, formulations, correlations, elucidation of, relationship, role of. Use results-oriented word and reflect fundamental research approach. So if you put like this type of word in your title, this is quite attractive the reader to read your proposal. This is for fundamentals approaches. Okay, title examples. Okay, a critical analysis of the Hansberg integral and Riemann integral. Next, the founder of algebra, Tales of Pythagoras or Diophantus or Calculations or any other. So these topics, when you read itself, it's actually attracting your attention. Evaluating the utilizations of the disk capture by advanced statistic analysis. Understanding conditional law of a branching process, observing a subpopulation in industrial mathematics. So if you see the topics, you see all the words are very catchy and it's actually impressive. Okay, this is some of the examples of titles that can you consider. Okay, next we move on to executive summary. What is an executive summary? If you say research on grants, on research funding applications, and also for scientific writing, for example, for journals, you cannot run away from executive summary. Executive summary is overall picture of what is your paper about or your research idea about. You must explain in one section what is the area, what is the objective, what is the methodology, what is the research questions, every important elements you are going to put in the executive summary. So after reading the title, I'll read the executive summary. This is the work about. Oh, okay. This is the work related to the title. Or this researcher want to do this, and this is what he's expecting from his work. All that idea a reader must get from your executive summary. So an executive summary is a thorough overview of a research report or other type of document that synthesize key points for its readers, saving them time and preparing them to understand the study's overall content. Okay, if you're wondering how a good dissertation executive, maybe hereby I will discuss some of the tips in writing executive summary. So if you want to Google and find, you can visit universities' websites, which they have uploaded thesis dissertations. You can even visit our school resource page to get previous students' thesis, go through how their executive summary look like, or you can ask your professor or advisor. If you're not sure how to write, they can guide. They can show the previous students their paper on how to write, what are the keywords that must have in the summary, what the summary must answer. Okay, this is how you want to find resource of writing executive summary. Okay, some guidelines of to write the effective executive summary. Use a formal writing style. Don't use jargon words. Jargon words means very bombastic words. Okay, like a lot of, you want to show you are very good in your English, this is not the place. Your research proposal must be readable and understandable for readers. This is not a place for you to challenge how good is your English is. Okay, state the aim or purpose of your dissertations. Okay, the first sentence itself you can write, in this proposal we will look into this problem and we are going to propose this to tackle this problem. Describe your methodology. Okay, I say you said you are going to propose this method in order to tackle this problem. So, how you are going to work out this this method? What is the algorithms or theory behind this method? So, describe your methodology. How you are going to implement? How you are going to achieve it? Especially for thesis paper in the hard sciences or social sciences, be sure to elaborate on your methods and techniques. For example, you want to use classification, fuzzy classifications, k-means algorithms. These are the techniques or methods that you're going to employ in your work. You must provide concise, complete, and specific information. For example, I want to do the modeling in Lake Harapan. Okay, I no need to tell Lake Harapan is situated in Penang Island in University Science Malaysia. All this no need. I just can take out, I just put the longitude or latitude of Lake Harapan. Where is it situated? Okay, I no need to describe unimportant things in my executive summary. Okay. Provide the results of your study. Okay, this is just an expected results only. Because this is just a proposal, you not yet work out your method yet. So you cannot give a comprehensive results. If you give a comprehensive result, the reader will think, oh, this one already have result. Then for what are you proposing your work? What you want to achieve? You already achieve it by getting the results. So what you are going to provide as the result for your study here means is the expected result. For example, you are proposing methods of modeling the Addis thing in the Lake Harapan, right? So you must say this one can reduce the cases of malaria maybe in the percentage range of 20 to 30% from the initial reported cases. So this is a predicted results. Next, give an overview that allows the reader to understand what your dissertation is about. So this executive summary is just an overview. No need to be detailed. You no need to put your algorithm, no need to put your theory, no need to put your mathematical formulation in details. No need to do diagrams, all that. No. Just words. Just words, wordings describe your work. Okay? Don't recycle sentences or paragraphs from the actual paper. For example, most of the students, what they do executive summary, they copy and paste from previous work or previous related articles. This is something is not ethics, and if your reader get to know, they will lose their trust in your work. Okay. So for completing the executive summary, there are few tips by Walden University. What they suggested was at least all the main points in the same order in which they occur in the paper that you are summarizing. For example, you are summarizing from paper some of a previous work, right? So you take a piece of paper, you list down, you do some research questions answer like that. Okay, this is the main points in this paper, in this work. I list down. Later, I'll rephrase it and rewrite the points using my own idea. Okay? And then I'll add some sentences to clarify the each point. I take point 1. Okay, this is point 1. Then I make it a sentence. And then I explain with my own words what is this point 1 about. And then I will put what is my point of view of this point 1? What am I going to do with this point 1? What is the conclusion or research output that I'm expecting from this point 1? Okay, this is how to do the executive summary by not copying other ideas and to elaborate the main points. Next, check the grammar, spelling, and punctuations. Sometimes some students have problem in your writing. Even you have a good idea, you don't know how to put it in words. So please, if can help ask help from somebody to check for you your grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Or there's a lot of online checking programs for checking your work. And then check for plagiarisms. Okay, sometimes if your work is overlapped with other people's executive summary and so on, the proposal is not well trusted by your reader. So check for your plagiarism. You can use Untitled, and there are a lot of softwares to detect plagiarisms online also. Set it aside. Let some time pass and read it again. That means you do first time, right? Okay, just put one side. After a few hours, go back and read it. The flow of the summary, whether you can understand, or better if you ask somebody else to read. Is it they can understand what are you trying to tell? Okay, and try to include appropriate citations and references. Okay, so you start with subject matters and define brief background about the problem. And then you analyze the method. Describe the most appropriate method used in your work. This one is must aim towards report's goal. Okay, for example, I want to talk about my own field, neural networks. Okay, for example, I want to use neural networks to solve maybe credit applications for a bank. Okay, just said in a bank, got few people, they apply for credit cards, right? Okay, so I want to use these neural networks to sort out who is eligible to get credit cards, who are not eligible to get a credit card. So I propose an algorithms or a tool to process the data very fast for me to get the output. So I propose an algorithm to accelerate, that means to make the processing very fast. Okay. So for my subjects matter and I define neural networks are used for classification, pattern classifications problems. So for these credit applications, I want to sort out which applications are to be offered by the bank. So method of analysis. So I propose the tool A to accelerate the classifications process by neural network. So this tool A is going to use maybe fuzzy clustering techniques to develop the algorithms to work on it. Okay, next, what are the findings going to be? Okay, from the findings, I will get the list of people who are eligible to get credit cards. Okay, so the problem solution. In the previous section, you had listed some research gap. Okay, the problem solution. Maybe you have previous tool D. Maybe another researcher have proposed tool D for the same task. So I say in the previous tool D, which was proposed by XXX, the tool couldn't process data which is more than 50. But in my tool A, which was proposed in this work, it can sort data more than 200. So there is a research gap. From 50, you have developed a tool that can process 200 data. So you already fulfill the research gap there. Okay. So the recommendations and conclusion. So from the results output, you see the results. How fast are you getting the result? How good? How is the error? Is it good? Acceptable? And then how effective the CPU time. I can get the processing in within 15 seconds. where the previous proposed tool XXX for the same problem, it took 1 hour to get the result. So the tool which are recommended in this proposal is more efficient in the terms of CPU, and then the data which I can get is more reliable from generalization process. All this is the conclusion. But you also can give your recommendations and based on your limitation. You cannot say your tool which you propose is the best tool. Definitely there's a defect, some problem, or some you can do enrichment about your tool. So you can put that maybe in future this tool AAA we can integrate with meta heuristic algorithms or some optimizations algorithm to make it work faster and to accommodate more data. So this is your recommendations. On the same time, you are telling the limitations of your work. Okay. Okay. For example, here I just give an examples of background of the study. This research will focus on the technologies that are used in the mathematics academic. This is example how you can write background of the study. Okay, this one about a video game lah. So focusing on learning mathematics via art through the use of video game. As of the moment, traditional approaches in education have resulted in a mismatch between the lesson taught to students and what the industry currently needs. So this is by Nelman. As we see technology advance rapidly so that the process of learning as a useful learning suitable for various learners for students of all ages. So in this background of the study, it explains what the proposal are focusing about technology used in mathematics academic thing. They are going to focus on learning mathematics. Why are they focusing on this? You see, it is because the mismatch between the lesson. So here they propose what they're going to do, and then the research gap. Why are they proposing the work has been justified. And then in the same paragraph also, they say what is the use of the technology. So we are going to get a learning suitable for various learners by using the technology. This is the expected output from the research. So the statement of the research, the purpose of education which art is used to make students fully aware of the environment, understanding and more themselves as well as others. These are the purpose, the objective of the research. Okay. So how you are going to do? Video games are connected with art, and in that way that it refers to the process of creating video games that use visual art. So in this proposal, the researcher going to create video games using visual art. As such video games, what is the importance of the proposed idea is the education materials which may be used for an aid for learning in order to improve the achievement of students. And the games may also be used as a tool inside the classroom, engaging students to be motivated in their study. So this is a short executive summary which describes what is the proposed idea, why they propose that idea, what is the research gap they are fulfilling, and what is the expected output. See, so short paragraphs only, but they get to integrate the important elements in executive summary. Okay, so if you see also the way how they write the background and the statement of research for executive summary, anybody can understand. Although you don't have any background about these video games and so on, you can understand. They never use any bombastic or Jackman words which can confuse the reader. So this is an example of a good executive summary. Okay. Okay. Next, we move on to problem statement. Problem statement. That means what is the problem that you are going to solve. You must be very sure of this before you are writing your proposal. Problem statement here actually is a specific research gap or research problems which highlight a critical point in the literature review as different aspects of the research topics are discussed. That means when you do your literature review, you can analyze what the previous researchers have done. Then from there, you can find out what is the future work or the thing which was not touched or discussed by your previous researcher. From that, you can get some ideas how to build the bridge to connect the research gap. The statements presenting research gap should be concise and accurate, showing the need for the research. For example, there is a model A which can, just now I say credit card, right? Okay, the model A which was proposed can solve 50 data sets only. But the model B, which I'm going to propose here, can use to solve 200 data sets. So you see, I have recommended a way or model which can fulfill the research gap. That means from 50 to 200, the model has been enhanced in the aspect of capability of the amount of the data. So this is the contributions of my research. So it may be presented after a group of related studies. Okay, it means when your supervisor say, do a topic regarding neural network, you cannot say straight away, oh, maybe got some models which got 20 data sets only. So I will proposing a model which can solve 500 data set. You just cannot jump into that conclusion. You must have an intensive literature review to get the ideas. After you get a solid ideas, then only you can jump into problem statement. Because in problem statement, you must justify why are you choosing the problem. In order to justify, you must include, if you said this model A just can solve 20 data set, then it must be a proof. Who have done that model, in which year it has been presented, in which journal. All you must cite in your work. Then only you propose your idea. A previous work just by words are not accepted. It must be supported by evidence where you read it. The evidence also must come out from a solid source. Try to use solid sources here means high index or index journals. If it's a non-index journal proceedings, try not to take or depends on it. Okay, it is question mark because nobody have read the proceedings thoroughly, review it thoroughly. So the robustness of the contribution is still a question mark and open to 1001 questions. So it's better for you to take this research gap from index journals, which has been approved by a lot of readers and reviewers. Research gaps or problem statements can be related to inadequacies and limitations. What I said that just now, the limitations. A serious or major drawback with or his approach is limited to, did not take into account for, overlook, neglected, ignore, and important. Fail to address the question of, okay, this is how you want to answer the research gap or do the sentence about research gap. Okay, for example, I think it's limited to work by Kong 2012 is in proposing a model to process data for credit card eligibility is limited to 20 data sets only. Also, the model can support training up to 0.1 error up to 0.1% only. So, in order to fulfill the research gap or the major drawback of Kong's 2012 approach, I'm going to propose this method. Okay, this is the solid problem statement to address your research gap. Okay, next, conflicting or controversial findings or ideas. Okay, that means maybe Kong 2012, he has said that credit card processing couldn't be completed if you never use mean squared error. But when you do other literature review, you feel that this model can also use sum squared error or any other parameters to measure the accuracy. So you're having some conflict idea from the earlier researcher. So you can use that problem statement as a problem statement for your proposal. Second is extensions of ideas in new directions. For example, model A, it was doing something about fuzzy logic. Maybe your extensions, you are going to do the model plus fuzzy logic plus some other, for example, pre-predator algorithm. So you are combining a new idea in the new directions. Okay. The positive evaluation, how you want to write. You can write model A is using fuzzy logic in processing the data of the credit card applications. It's worthwhile to extend it to be integrated with pre-predator algorithm to increase the effectiveness of the proposed model. So this is how you are putting your idea so that people can see clearly what is the problem that you're going to solve. Okay. Your research aim and objective. So in your problem statement also must have your objective. What was our objective? To enhance the training of the processing of the credit card applications. A good statement of the gaps or problem clearly defines the problem, states the concept to be related in the study, and identify a feasible, means some acceptable solution to the problem. Okay. Now, we move on to research objective. We have looked into executive summary. Then I was explaining about problem statement. Now we see research objective. How to write a good research objective. First of all, a lot of students having confused about what is the difference between aims and objectives. Okay, the primary focus of your research project is usually expressed in terms of aims and objective. So aim here is what you hope to achieve. And objective is the action you will take in order to achieve the aim. Okay, for example, the aim, I want to develop a model to accommodate more data in training credit card eligibility applications. So the objective here is I want to integrate the model with fuzzy logic to enhance the capability. So you see the aim is you want to do a model to accelerate the problem. But how you're going to do it? You're going to integrate in fuzzy logic. Okay, in a very simple way. Okay, aim. You want to go to KL. Objective, I want to drive to KL. That is what. Aim is what you want. You want to go to KL. How you do, that is the objective. Okay. Aims here are statements of intent. They are usually written in a broad terms going to KL like that. They set out what you hope to achieve at the end of the project. At the end, I want to reach KL. The objective here, on the other hand, should be specific statements that defines the measurable outcomes. Example, what steps will be taken to achieve the desired outcome? When writing your objective, try to use strong positive statements. Okay, in order to reach KL, I have few choices. Maybe I can take express, maybe I can take aeroplane, maybe I can take drive a car. So for me, the way I'm going to do the objective is driving a car. Whatever justification now I'm going to do is how driving a car is better than other choices in order to reach KL. That is what I'm going to do justification later on. Okay, try to use strong verbs. Okay, verbs like collect, construct, classify, develop, devise, measure, produce, revise, select, synthesis. Okay, use strong verbs here means you must use verbs that can get the output. You cannot use weak verbs. Appreciate. How you're going to measure, how you're going to appreciate. Consider. Consider what? Inquire about what? Learning about what? Knowing what? Understand what? Weak verbs always got a question mark there. So try to avoid using weak verbs. Choose strong verbs which can answer your question, which there is never give any opportunity for others to question you, which are measurable. If word like appreciate, how you are going to measure appreciate? Okay, for example, a student, right? I want to appreciate the model that I developed. Appreciate what? How you are going to appreciate? If you write, I want to evaluate the model. That one can. How you want to evaluate? By using error corrections, by using CPU time. All that is to measure the model that you propose. That can be done. So here, the verbs, use the verbs that is measurable. Okay. Objective can be done by using SMART. What is SMART? S is to be specific of what are you going to do. M is measurable. That means you will know when you have reached your goal. Okay, for example, if you get your error is less than 0.001, that means your model have achieved the target. So it's measurable. Achievable. Don't attempt too much. Okay, just now I say I want to propose a model which can train up to 200, right? I cannot be too ambitious, say, oh, I want to develop a model which can train up to 1,000 data set. Don't be too ambitious. Sorry. And then your objective must be realistic. Do you have the necessary resource? Okay. For example, just now I said I want to train up to 1,000, right? Do I have enough computers to run parallel programs to train for 1,000 data set? Is my time I have is enough? So all this, your objective must be something that can be done. Okay? Time constraint. Okay, you are planning your master for 2 years. So do your objective for 2 years. Maybe for 2 years you can reach up to 3 to 4 objectives. Don't go up to 10 objectives. Then when are you going to finish? Okay, you must know where to start. On the same time, you must know where to stop your research. Okay, how many aims or objectives should there be? Okay, this one depends on your project supervisor and also how heavy is your objective. If your objective is very heavy, around 2 objectives also is sufficient for master level. Okay, others, this is the open question. There is no fixed number of objectives. The number of objectives depends on 2 factors. One, with your supervisors, and secondly, how heavy you write the objective. Okay, let us see example of aims and objective. Okay, here A. To investigate, to investigate the relationship between tectonic plate movement. This is something about geography, about the tsunami and so on. Tectonic plate movements and the gravitational effect of the alignments of the major planets. Okay, the objective data sets will be extracted from the known historical record of tectonic plate movement. Dataset will be extracted from astronomical tables detailing the various alignments of the major planets covering the same period as data from the geological record, and the data from both sets will be synthesized to establish if correlation point exists between major geological events and planetary alignments. So here you see we have using words which are strong: investigate, extract, synthesis. So all this work shows how strong is your objective in order to fulfill your aim. Okay. The next part after you have your research is research question. Okay. What is a research question? If you have a topic, definitely there is some questions you want to answer. Okay. For example, a research question is the questions around which you center your research. It could be clear, focused, concise, complex, and arguable. Okay, for example, I say I want to use neural networks to do the model. So my research question here can be, why am I using neural network? How effective is neural network in solving this model? How much the model can improve the classification of data set? Why the model is can be used for this type of data set? Most of the research questions revolve around the WH question, and mostly is why and how. You must able to answer this why and how. Okay, it must be clear. It provide enough specific that one audience can, which you center your one audience can easily understand its purpose without needing additionally explanation. That means your work, when the people read the question, they must get to answer. After do your research, after go through your proposal, the person must able to answer your research question. In your research question, you see why I use neural network. So after read the research proposal, the reader must get the answer. Oh, this person using neural network is because of this. So your research proposal must explain, must answer your research question. Not here, I would like to highlight, you give research question this. But if it's not answerable in your research proposal, that means if somebody cannot find the answer for the research question in your research proposal, your research question won't be accepted. Your research proposal will be rejected. Okay. The question must be focused. Okay. That means it is narrow down. Must be direct what you want. Concise. Don't use few words. Don't do some poems. Okay, do a short and direct questions, and it must not be a complex, and it must be a arguable. Its potential answers are open to debate rather than accepted facts. For example, I say why I use neural networks, right? Maybe I can say neural network is more accurate than other deep learning techniques. Maybe another researcher can debate deep learning is better than neural networks. Why you say neural network is better? So your research question is open to debate. Okay. What is research question? Essential to the research process. Okay. Now we see how your research question can align with your research process. Research questions help writers focus their research by providing a path through the research and writing process. Okay, so in this research question, if you answer everything in your proposal, so the link is there, the bridge is there for WH questions for the reader. Okay, how you want to develop a research question? First, you choose an interesting general topic. Most professional researchers focus on topics they are genuinely interested in studying. Writers should choose a broad topic and then narrow it down. For example, I choose a topic on neural networks. Maybe later I will narrow it. What type of neural networks am I going to work on? And then do some preliminary research on your general topic. Okay, for example, when I say neural networks, I have to do some research. What are the types of neural networks? What neural networks is used for what task? What are the problems can be used to solve by using neural networks? Why neural network is a good tool in solving a classification problem? So all this I must do preliminary research. And then I must consider who is my audience. Okay, most of the research, the audience will be academicians or a researcher. So they already have most of the answer. For example, if a student come and present to me a topic about neural networks, I have an idea what is neural network, how good it is. I have a lot of answers in my head. So I will see whether your proposal is answering the WH question in my head or not. Okay, start asking questions. Okay, this is it's just training. Okay, from your proposal, trying to extract out whatever WH questions that you can get. For example, why neural network is appropriate for forecasting. So all the WH, how and why especially is the open-ended questions. Try to get. And then evaluate your questions. Evaluate your question means you must see, oh, is your idea, the work you're going to do, can answer that question. If cannot answer the question, take it off. Okay? If you put the research question, but the answer is not in your proposal, that means it's not your focus of your work. So avoid using that questions. After you get your research question, then only you begin to do your research. So after you have come out with a question, think the possible way in your research, how you're going to do your research to answer that questions. Okay? How you're going to get sources. Who are you going to consult? What papers are you going to read? All this try to settle based on your research questions. Okay. So next, I'm going to move on for research methodology. But I think we will take, now it's 10:20. We will take a break for 15 minutes. We'll be coming back at 10:35. Then I will continue with research methodology. Okay, we will meet again at 10:35.
Okay, thank you, Sarata. Okay, guys, we will meet again at 10:35. So, yeah, we have a time break now. Okay. So we will come back at 10:35. Okay, guys, so we'll start again our session.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, so students, we continue with research methodology. Okay, what is research methodology? As what I said, research methodology explains how you want to carry out your objective, how you are going to implement your objective in order to achieve your output. Okay, so in a very proper way, research methodology is the specific procedures of techniques used to identify, select, process, and analyze information about a topic. This research methodology follows specific scientific principle. Okay. In the science of study, research is done systematically. This is what research methodology explained. The steps taken in order for the research to be done systematically. So the methodology, now we are going to see how was the data collected or generated, how it's analyzed, how it been analyzed until you get the output of the research. So the procedure is, the research methodology is actually a procedure, steps on how the researcher is going to carry out their work, how to describe their work, explain their work, and predicting phenomena or predicting output. Okay, this one is actually study of methods by which the knowledge is gained. Okay, there are few ways how these research methods are being carried out. Okay, this research methodology must have why the particular research study is undertaken. That means why you want to do that research. How are you going to formulate a research problem? What type of data are you going to collect? What method are you going to use to analyze or playing with the data? And why are you going to use that particular method? So this methodology involves a brief descriptions of the research design to be used, including justification. That means you must answer your research question. Why is the best method for the study? You can say Model A is the best method to solve COVID-19 vaccination problem in Malaysia. But you must explain why you are telling like that. Why your method is the best. Why no other method. Why the method lack of. Other methods lack of. What is the distinct advantage of your method? Okay. So this methodology covers a comprehensive description of methodology, which includes research design. How are you going to carry out your research? Research local samples and sampling techniques, as well as instrumentations, how you're going to process your data, research procedure, and complete statistical analysis for the data that you have gathered. Okay, these methodology chapters allow leader to evaluate the reliability and validity of the research. Okay, you say this model A can be used to solve this problem, right? So in research methodology, you must justify what are the steps, why the method is good in tackling the problem. You must explain how you carry out the project. So as a reader, when I read your research methodology, I must have the trust that you have done the right method in order to achieve your proposed work. Okay, then your research would have valid. That means the is it a right way to solve the problem? Okay, so the type of research you did is how you collect your data, you must explain. How you are going to analyze the data that you have collected. How is the materials or tool that you're going to use, and why are you choosing these particular things? And methodology section will be written in past tense. Okay, so how we are going to do? Step 1, explain your methodological approach. Okay, firstly, you must tell what is the research problem or question are you investigating. For example, did you aim to systematically describe the characteristic of something, to explore an under-researched topic, or to establish a cause and effect relationship? And what type of data did you need to achieve this aim? For example, modeling of COVID-19 infection rate in Malaysia during the flood time. Okay, like that. So you are going to explore how the the rate of COVID-19 infection is fluctuated during the flood season. So this is a relationship thing. You're going to analyze the relationship between these two different topics. Okay, then how are you going to get the data? Are you going to get from the website, or are you going to go to some government agency to get the data, or you must decide in methodology section? Then, if the data is a quantitative data, quantitative data means numeric. Okay, for example, the COVID-19 infection rate on Monday is this number, and so on. Qualitative data means it's expressed in words. For example, is the COVID-19 vaccination that has been carried out is well received by Malaysians? Please choose scale 1 or to scale 10. Okay, so this is scaling. How much are you really satisfied, not satisfied, like that? Okay. Did you gather experimental data by controlling and manipulating? That means this one depends on experiments. For example, the experiments carried out in the lab, biology, chemistry, that type of experimental data. Okay. So, depending on your discipline and approach, you also must begin of discussion of the rationale why you choose this and assumption what will happen underpinning your methodology. For example, why is this the most suitable approach to answer your research questions? Okay. For example, I said I'm going to use a neural network to solve the credit card application problem. So I must explain in the research methodology why I choose neural network. What is the suitability in neural network that make me to choose it to model the problem? Okay, is this a standard methodology in your field, or does it require justification? For example, I want to do a data analysis of seaweed problem. So I'm going to use a machine or analyze machine to measure the chlorophyll component in the seaweed. So maybe this is a standard way to get a chlorophyll, how much chlorophyll in the seaweed. This machine is the standard machine to use to measure. So I must write it, I must justify it. Okay, was there any ethical consideration involved in your choices? Usually ethical depends on in the lab, biology lab, for example, you use rat, frog, and so on, right? So in order to use like that, you must have permissions from the ethics committee to carry out the research. What are the criteria for validity and reliability in this type of research? That means how you are going to just evaluate your output. Okay, for example, I say COVID-19 and are not during the flood, right? So I have to show how these are not being affected by the flood, why it has been affected, what is the trend, and what is the forecast. Okay? Right. Step 2. Describe your methods of data collections. As what I say, there are just two ways of data collections. One is quantitative, which is involved numerical data, and one is qualitative, means words. Okay, for example, survey. A survey, we are going to use questionnaire, all this. So I must say what type of questionnaire, how I'm going to process the questionnaire, and so on for the sampling. Okay, so experimental, if you think experimental means you must explain how you design the experiment, what are the parameters you are going to use, what are the machines or measurements that are you going to use for the experiment. All this is methods, explanation of method. Okay, and then if you use existing data, you must tell where you get this data, who created it, who else used this data to solve the problems which is nearly to your problem. Okay, and then what you can say, what is the, for example, if you use a diabetic patients data from the government website, and then you must say you must describe the data, when the data has been uploaded, who was the pioneer of the data, everything you must explain. Okay. Quantitative method. Quantitative method, for example, this question, the survey consisted of 5 multiple choice questions and 10 questions that were measured using a Likert scale. This is an example of a quantitative method. Qualitative method, as what I said, is word, interview, interview, surveys, and so on. So in that, you must explain how you find the group. For example, you want to develop a model to about lecturers and students relationship in maybe during the online teaching. You want to do a survey, and then you want to use the result of the survey for your analysis. So you must say how the interviews are going to collect, which group of participants are you going to choose, how many people took part, how the interview is carried out. Okay, so all this information must be in your methodology part. Okay, and this is example of a survey for a company where they survey participants from 20 to 45 years old. They given a survey for 20 minutes regarding a target for the company X. Example of qualitative method. Okay, so characteristic of qualitative research method is as listed here. So you must explain all the things that is essential in how you carry out your research. Next, step 3 in your writing of research methodology, you must describe your methods of analysis. That means now you already carried out the data collection either by qualitative or quantitative, right? Now when you have the data, how are you going to analyze the data? Okay, in quantitative research, the data is in numbers. So you must explain how you clean the data. Cleaning data here is you are processing the data. That means how you are going to remove the outliers, how you are going to replace the missing data, how you are going to change to binary or bipolar output. You have to explain in your work. And then for quantitative, definitely you need a software to analyze the data. For example, SPSS, data, or R, or you want to use MATLAB, Mathematical C program, or what you want to use. Okay. For quantitative type of methods, you must use statistical software also to calculate the range for the outliers, to remove the outliers, to clean the data, and so on. Okay. So this is the difference between qualitative research and quantitative research. Okay, for qualitative, usually you want to get opinion about what other people think, for some trends and so on. For quantitative, you want to explore some findings. Here, the sample usually a small number or non-representative cases. For example, you cannot, it's quite impossible or quite taking time if you want to survey, for example, for 1,000 students, 2,000 students, and so on. But from quantitative, we are taking a data from developed data sets. So the data sets can be large. And then the analysis of data for qualitative is non-statistical, but for quantitative it will be statistical because it involves a lot of data clearance of missing, outlier, data processing, pre-processing, a lot of things there. And then examples as shown are okay. Now you already know how you collect your data, you already analysis your data. Now in step 4, you want to evaluate and justify your methodology choices. In evaluations of your methodology, you must justify why I choose this method. Okay, why I choose clustering, fuzzy clustering algorithm? Why I never choose just clustering or any k nearest neighbor or k means algorithm? Why I never choose? I just want fuzzy clustering. What is the advantage of this method in my proposed problem? That is very important. Maybe in your justification, you can link with previous work. How you want to get your previous work? Go through literature review of publication related with your work. You must discuss here why you cannot use other methods. As what I said lah, you want to show your work is the good one, your method is the good one, so you must give some negative things about other methods. Okay, you can also, as what I said, tell about the limitation or weakness. For example, I can say the method I proposed just suitable for 900 data sets only. Okay, maybe in future I can integrate it fuzzy with something like a pre-predator to make it to train or accommodate more data set. It's nothing wrong for you to admit the weakness in your work. Okay, better you admit and you propose a way to overcome the limitation rather than your reader or your examiner asks you this question. Okay. Tips for writing a strong methodology. Firstly, you must focus on your objective and research question. Okay. So you must show what I said, the method is good and it must answer your problem statement. Remember your problem statement, what are you trying to solve? And research question, your how and why questions. And then relate your choices back to the central purpose of your dissertation. And then try to cite relevant sources. Okay, you said my method is better than Zhang 2021 because in Zhang, he just was focusing with 20 data sets. So you must cite Zhang to show that you really have done some review, you have a strong justification. So this one actually can be strengthen your methodology part. And then confirm that you follow established practices for this type of research. Okay. For example, I said during my analysis of my data, I'm going to use outlier detection to clean the data. So this is parallel with the method that was with the steps proposed by Team 2019. You must say that that work that you've done is similar with other person, how they clean the data. Okay? Discuss how you evaluated different methodology and decided on your approach. Okay. For example, COVID-19 infection rate. Maybe there are few reasons which can cause the fluctuations. Maybe it's vaccine rate, maybe some economy problem, politics, and so on. So you must, if you said R0 is mostly affected because of the vaccination, so you must justify it. Okay? Why you say like this but not the other factors? Okay? And then a research gap is definitely you must explain in your methodology. Obstacles are, as what I said, the difficulties in collecting or analyze data or any other problems you may go through during your research work. It's not wrong in admitting your limitations. Okay, maybe if you never, for example, when you do the data analysis, you see that your algorithms is fluctuating after 100 data sets. Okay, so maybe it's because the missing data is too much. That's why you have some oscillations there. So you must explain this obstacle is due to this. Maybe we have to consider another type of way to replace the missing data. Okay. Next, after we in your research proposal how to write, I have indicated about Gantt chart and also milestone. Okay, what is a Gantt chart? Okay, Gantt chart is a simple visual guide that shows what are you planning to do. If your master you are planning for 2 years, then you must tell in 2 years what are you going to do. Very easy. You wake up in the morning, you sit on the bed, you decide, this by 10 o'clock, I must finish up my breakfast. Then by 12 o'clock, I must read the abstract and introduction of this journal by who. 12 to 1, I want to take my break, go for lunch. That is your plan for 1 year, sorry, 1 day, right? Gantt chart is the plan for your studies durations. Okay, milestone is what are the achievements, list of achievements you want to complete. For example, you want to do for this month got 4 weeks. Okay, each week there are 4 milestones. If you 1 week you say you want to achieve 1 milestone. Maybe on the first week I want to complete 2 literature review of the journal. Milestone 2, I must write down report regarding literature review survey. Milestone 3, submit to my supervisor. 4, do correction. This is completion of work. What you want to complete in week 1, week 2, week 3 and week 4, right? Like that, milestone is what you want to complete throughout the 2 years. Completion of task. Okay. This Gantt chart and milestone shows the assessor that you have thought about your research in detail. That means how you plan out your research. Are you going to waste your time in certain tasks? Are you going to over-concentrate in certain tasks? This is how the assessor can advise you. Okay, so for doing Gantt chart and milestone, firstly, you must list your activities. Okay, then activities, for example, first you are going to start with literature review. Next, I want to compare, I want to list down all the possible methods. And then I want to analyze each method's advantage and disadvantage. Then I want to choose the appropriate method. Then try to develop theory and algorithms related to it. Like that. This is list your activities. And then estimate the time required. Maybe literature review, I take 2 weeks. The next one, I take another 2 weeks. So this is the estimation of the time required for you to complete the activities. After you do this, you put the activities in order, chunk it up, and then draw it. Okay? This is example of a Gantt chart which is from June 2013 to May 2016. So this is what the student wants to do, and this is the time limitation that the student given to himself or herself to complete the task. Okay, for example, preparation of thesis proposal, she do it during this time. Presentation of thesis proposal, and then he submit the thesis applications, data collection, data analysis, report writing, submission of thesis, and presentation of thesis. Not necessary, each task must only take 1 time slot, not necessary. You can even take 2 time slot also. You can overlap your work. Okay. A milestone is a finding or a set of findings that signal the achievement of a specific aim in your research plan. Applicants must propose 1 or more milestones for each specific aim. Okay, for example, right, here is the aim, what you want to do. So, preparation of thesis proposal. How you know your thesis proposal is already been prepared. Okay, completion of completion of research methodology section, completion of discussion chapter. All this is the tasks that come under the thesis proposal. For example, see here. For example, this is the milestone. Milestone will be a short one. Right? So, always you do as short correspond to your research activities, and sometimes people put as completion of in front of the task. So milestone play an important role in a student's graduate research training. They are only a mechanism. That one we just plan out. Not necessary it will be followed, but try to follow it very closely. Okay. What are the steps in creating milestone? First, you must establish your foundations. So, the foundation here means what? Literature review, hypothesis, research questions, what are the resources for you to get information, all the important. For example, you want to do a cake. You must prepare everything, the ingredients, your egg, margarines, flour, everything you must prepare. Then only you can start to make a cake. You cannot miss out of, you say, okay, let me do my planta and sugar first, then I go and find my egg. Then it will be something not systematic. Okay, so try to be systematic. Establish the foundation of your research. Typically in literature, research question and learning to use methodology, research and equipment. Then only you go deeper into your understanding. You must set yourself some targets. Depends on your understanding of the problem or the issues around your research. For example, you are going to do, for example, modeling of pollutant in Lake Harapan, right? So in order to do the topic, you must have the tools, equipments to collect the specimen and data from Lake Harapan. So you must know where to get the tools, and is it will be a problem in getting the tools, or during when you do the BOD tests, experiments and so on. So the chemicals, the one you want to analyze the solutions of the lake, the water from the lake, you want to analyze all that, the things are there or not. Okay? And then only you should also develop targets of how much, what, where, and when. That means when I do the experiment, I should know, oh, this is the target and roughly this is what I must get. Okay? Okay. Reflection and evaluation. Okay. You will be still collecting data, but when you get your first batch of data, also start to do analysis. You don't wait until everything finished. For example, I use neural network to train a data set, right? I cannot wait until all my simulation with different data sets finish, then only I do my analysis. No. Each time I finish one type of data sets, I must do the analysis ready. Okay. Consolidation means you will need to complete your solution or framing of the argument, tie up loose ends and check for any emerging new literature. For example, when you get your result, you must justify your result. If there is some loophole in your results, try to cover it with some literature, maybe a researcher who has the same problem, how they overcome it. You must find the loophole. Okay, then completion and submission. This is the last part of developing your milestone. Okay, your milestone, your Gantt chart, not necessarily same with your friends. Maybe your friends have a different planning, you will be having a different planning. Okay, okay. This is example of how a Gantt chart in another way can be done lah. Got dates here. Okay. Okay. Next, we move on to budget. Okay, even though most of the students don't inquire budget to do their work, because usually you are supported maybe with your supervisors grant to use some machines, materials and so on, or maybe you have your own laptop to do your work, or you can use a school lab things to do your work. So this is not a problem. But however, in the research proposal, one of the component is budget. Okay, in a good proposal, you must tell the evaluator, this is the budget I need. Especially budget is important when you want to apply for any funding. For example, just now I said, right, oil palm prediction, oil palm price prediction, you apply to farmer or any other agricultural firms to get some funding. So they give the funding based on the budget. They will see how is the justification in the budget you done, is the allocation is appropriate and rational for your projects. Okay, there are few votes here. Vote 11,000 is for salary. Maybe you want to hire some research assistants to help you carry out your project. This one will fall into this one. Next is traveling expenses and subsistence. That means subsistence is your food and your daily allowance. Okay, for example, you need to travel to another state to collect some information from the office there or something. So you need some money for the traveling, and during the traveling, you need money for your food and also your daily allowance. So this one will fall into vote 21000. Okay, maybe you want to attend conferences to present your work. As what you know, as a research student, presentations of your work is very essential. So to show others that your work is established. Vote 23,000 is communications and utilities. For example, you make a phone call to some to journal office, your collaborators, you post something to them. This one will fall into vote 23,000. Follow up by vote 24,000. For example, you want to go somewhere and you need to rent a working space for you to do your work and so on. This one will come into rental. Next is vote 27,000. Vote 27,000 here is for buying research materials. For example, pen drive, hard disk, phone, for your printer and stationeries and so on. Is vote 27,000. Follow up by vote 28,000 maintenance and minor repair services. So for example, you have problem with your laptop and printer, you don't have money to buy a new one, so you can send it for maintenance and minor repair. Usually vote 28 and 29, you need to give some quotation, at least minimum of 3 quotations. And then we have vote 29,000. This one is for especially for base charges. Okay, if you want to publish your work, you need some journals need you to pay money. So the money that you use for like this type of work, for paying some membership fee and so conference fee and so on, we say it's vote 29,000. And lastly is vote 35,000 to buy equipment. Okay, this is what is budget, and what you ask is not necessarily what you get. Depends on the money locations and the justification you give for getting the money. Okay? But this budget is need to be included in your research proposal. Okay, so we completed about research proposal. Now we move on. So our workshop today is 3 sections, right? One is research proposal, another research proposal and research methodology. We already completed it. The second part is scientific writing. This scientific writing is most likely same as research proposal. The difference is for research proposal, you are doing to write a proposal for your research and also for your thesis. But for scientific writing, you are writing to submit for publications, grant reports, and so on. So let us look what is a scientific writing. Okay. This scientific writing is known also as technical writing. So the audience usually include peers or other scientists or researchers. So this is actually a research presentation where a person will go through your work and give comments. So your work must be understandable for the reader. So in the scientific findings, this one must be as precisely as possible, and the problem that you want to solve, what is the knowledge you want to get from your from your writing should be clear. And mostly scientific writing, as what we said, focus on publications. Publication is the ultimate reward of scientific research. Each researcher want their work to be well established and received by their peer. Peer means other researcher. So in order for it to be established, you must publish. So publication is a reward for us. So the scientific writing generally used for reporting of our original research, for example, to journals, scientific papers, for grant proposals, oral presentations, poster presentation, and also for portfolios. Okay. Let us see what are the guidelines for writing a successful research paper. Use a unique style of writing. Unique style means your work must be well organized. Okay, usually it will come with abstract, then we have introduction, we have literature background, literature review or background, and then theory, methodology, research and discussions, and finally conclusion. So this is the usual flow in a research paper. So make sure you follow the usual flow. You don't jump up and down. Okay? Have a clear understanding of the content. In order to write each section, don't over stress in one section. Maybe in one section you do 5-6 paragraphs, but other section you just do one paragraph. So your content must be well balanced. The writing should be simple. As what I said, you are not challenging how good is your English. You are just writing a piece of work which can be accepted and understood by readers. Develop in-depth knowledge of the subject. So in that paper, you must show or prove that you have the essential knowledge about that work that you are proposing. Okay? Explain different scientific terminology and provide a track of bibliography. Okay, if you use some scientific terminologies in your paper, you can give a brief idea or brief explanation, or you can put reference to cite it. Okay, strictly follow the specification of the approving and publishing authority. That means most of the journals, when you want to publish your work, you must follow their template. And also upon when you want to publish time, they will send you publications and copyright agreement, transfer publication agreements and so on, which you must do. And then proofread. This is something important. The best thing is you ask somebody who is in the same field like you to read your paper. Whether they can understand, even though they cannot understand 100%, but at least you should know they can follow your explanation or not. Okay. Next, we see just now we already learned about research proposal and research report, right? So now we see what is the difference between research proposal and research report. Okay, for research proposal, it just describes what the researcher intends to do and why he intends to do it. But for a report, you must justify why you done, what motivates you to do, and what you will get the results. Okay. For proposal, written at the beginning of a research proposal before the research project actually begins. Okay. For proposal, as what I said, it's an idea. Even the result is just expected results. But for report, you just can write report on something that you have done, results which already you obtained. Okay, it must be in your hand. Then only you can do your report. For proposal, we have sections such as introductions, background, literature review, research questions, methodology, aims, and objective. Uh, for report is roughly the same, but for report, we try to include citations, recommendations, and more analysis of your results and future works. Okay? And proposal usually shorter in length, but this is not necessarily true. Sometimes some journals, they limit the number of pages. In that case, a report can be shorter than the length. Depends on where we want to submit our report. Okay. Writing a scientific research article. Okay. So same like research proposal, most of the content in research article overlap with proposal. Okay, so which one overlap? I won't describe a lot. For example, title must, so I say it must be specific. Author, okay, these authors are very important. The person who did the work and wrote the paper is the first author. This is usually the students who carry out the research work. Others will be co-author. And usually, as what I said, supervisor will be the corresponding author. Why corresponding author? Because after the student graduated, they will go, most of the students will go out from the institution. But the supervisor still will be the institution. So if anybody have any problem regarding the paper, they want to ask any questions, so it's easier for the person to communicate with the corresponding author. So it is recommended to put supervisor as the corresponding author. And then abstract. Okay. For research proposal, we have executive summary, right, which is consists of most important elements in the work. But for scientific research, we have abstract. Abstract is short, maybe 100 to 250 words description which summarize why you are doing this method, what is the method, results and conclusion, or the output expected from the paper. And you just do it as brief but as informative as possible. Okay, usually what an author will do is they'll write out the idea in the abstract and then go through. Prune means edit. Which one is not important, you take it out. Okay, and remember, don't use abbreviations or citations in the abstract. Okay, okay. After first we do title. After title, we have after title we will have the name of the authors, right? After that we will put affiliations. Affiliations mean where is the author from. Okay, and then we will put their email address, and next we will move on to abstract. After abstract, some of the papers, they want us to list down keywords. The keywords are the important words get from the abstract. So whoever Google the keywords, they can get some rough idea about the content of your paper. So keywords is important for the journals to choose who is your reviewer. Okay. After abstract, we will have introductions. Okay. In introduction, we will write down what some background of works related with your work. Okay, for example, maybe a short literature review also is you can put in the introductions. For example, I can write neural network is used in pattern classification problem. So I'm going to use, so in this paper, we will discuss Hopfield neural network, which is used for this. And then I will write, I use this this network is being used because of this criteria. So this is introduction. Next is theory, methods, or methodology. Okay, how did you answer the problem that you have put in your paper? Okay, in this methodology, you must explain how the flow of the paper, of the report is going to be. Maybe for me, I will advise my students, for methodology, try to put a flow chart. When you put a flow chart, you can simplify of what is the method that you have in your paper. So by looking at the flow chart itself, the reader can understand what you want to do in this paper. But remember, in methodology, do not put your results in this section. You just put what is your work going to be and how are you going to carry out your work. Okay. And then after methodology, after methodology, theory and methods, you put discussions and results. This one usually usually better to put in a table or a figure, and please explain or elaborate the graph and tables. Some students, what they do, they try to copy and paste the same discussion for each graph or table. It will be repetitive. So that even though the discussion is similar or just have the same pattern, that never means you can copy and paste. So what you can do, you present it in a, maybe you rewrite, rephrase it. The exact word is rephrase the discussion. Okay, in discussion and results only, you must present your results. Okay, do not discuss the result or speculate as to why something happened. If you don't know, don't write. Okay, for example, if the graph has a sharp decline in the values, but you don't know how to justify, don't over or speculate why it's happening. Maybe it's wrong what you're speculating. Don't write anything without evidence or fact. Okay, and then you not necessary you do a lot of trading. Okay, not necessarily everything you want to put your graph and table there. No, just put the important essential output or results which can support your proposed work of the paper. Okay, maybe others you can put in appendices. Depends on some journals, they have appendix, you can put in the appendix. Okay, and then another important thing, please try to be honest. Okay, the results you get, present it, justify it. Even though got some error, never follow the correct universal results. Justify it, explain why you cannot do it. Admit your mistake. Don't just try to manipulate or cheat your results. Okay? Okay. In discussion part, you must highlight the most significant result. Okay. Maybe in the graph there is so many, maybe it have a downward trends, upward trends, or any other information. Whatever the reader or reviewer can get from his observation, you don't need to repeat it. Okay. If your results were unexpected, that's why you say try to explain why it happened. Maybe you can suggest what you need to do. That is the future research. Admit your mistake, justify what you need to do. Don't over confidently write something that you don't know. Okay? And then in discussion also, try to relate the output with your method. For example, I see my percentage of ratio is nearly to nearly to 1. That means 100% fit the data. Why it happens? Maybe the usage of fuzzy coefficients in the algorithms make the training more efficient and we can get the results as proposed in theory. Try to relate the two sections, discussion and theory. In that way, you're proving your work is correct. Okay, and you are convincing the reviewer you have proposed a valid work. Okay, and next is acknowledgement. This depend is optional. If your work is being supported, maybe funding from a research grant, maybe a firm or agency companies for giving you money to do your projects, then you have to acknowledge them. You must thank them in another word. For example, you write this research is using this grant number for carrying out the research for this paper. Okay, and definitely all the scientific writing must have references or bibliography. Most of the references it use APA. APA way of writing. If you don't know what your APA, you can even go to IPS website and get the way how it's written. Okay, and finally, after you write your paper, please read it again and again, edit your paper before you submit. Okay. Next, we move on to research output. Okay, before we move on to research output, I would like just to share a video with you all because just listening will get you bored. So we spend another 4 minutes to, I would like to share a video on how to write a research proposal, the conclusions. Okay, then I will come back for research output. Okay, students, that's the video I would like to share with you. Next, I want to share an example of a research proposal. Please give me few seconds for me to share the research proposal example. Okay, this is an example of a research proposal that was proposed by students. So I would like to go through with you all about the research proposal, how a good proposal will look like before we discuss about research output. Okay, for example, this is the title, Conceptual Associative Cognitive Approach under the Conditions of Incomplete Cognitions. Usually you will do a curating report to see how good is your proposal. That means your proposal don't have any plagiarisms and so on. Mean it must be less than 20%. How low is similarity index reflects how original is your work. Okay. Usually, in the curative report, it will shows you all the percentages where the lack of ideas happen. Okay. Usually, if less than 1%, 1%, you can ignore it. Okay. This is example of the proposal where you write introduction. In introductions, you introduce what is the research domain or research field, how your topic is going to work out, what is the proposed work, what is the related work, literature review, and so on. So you write down your introduction part as this. And finally, don't forget to write what is the focus of your work in your proposal as one last simple sentence. Then follow up with literature review. The key of literature review, try to choose the most recent literature reviews. Secondly, try to find literature reviews which is related with your work. Okay, and then if possible, when you review the paper, as what I said, try to find the research gap inside the paper which you can propose the idea to fulfill the research gap. Okay, then follow up by problem statement. Okay, this one I already tell you. Problem statement is what is the problem you want to solve, how you want to solve, and what is the expected output from the problem. So you write here, you see, you explain what is the research field problem now, what are you going to do, but in the real world, what you want to do. Incomplete cognitive is more likely to occur. So this is the research gap that you are going to work on. Okay, so you see, this is the suggestion. You write there. So we want to establish conceptual cognitive learning under the condition of incomplete cognition. So you have the problem, you explain the research gap, and you propose the research gap. And then you must also explain what are the lacking in the research gap. Okay, you see, the student explain what is the research gap about. Okay, so next you write what are you going to do. You see, so according to the given clues, concept with common attributes can be found. So what you're going to do, you're going to do temporal attribute cognition. So you see, the student said this is the research gap, why it happened, how it happened. So what am I going to do in this work is I'm going to propose this this example of solution to research gap. So you see, according to the given clues, the concept with common trees can be found. So you are going to use fuzzy. Okay. So next, you put objective. So here, the student put 3 objectives. Sorry, 5 objectives because this is a PhD proposal. So what the student said, you see the verbs that she used to construct, to obtain. Okay, all this is a very strong verbs. Okay, this is measurable verbs. If you recall my talk for today, I have told you all try to use strong verbs which is measurables according to SMART objective. Okay, so this is what the students propose the objective. Next is significance of study. Okay, the significance of study means here how the method that you propose can can contribute to the research field. For example, just now cognition problem, right? The student say want to use fuzzy logic in order to fulfill the research gap. So the student in significance of study, she will explain the output that she get, how it's going to help the development of cognition field. Okay, so that is the significant, the major or the clear output of the study. Okay, then you go for detailed method or methodology of the research. So you see what she explained. Firstly, method 1, what she want to do. Secondly, method 2, what she want to do, and so on. Next, I advise her to enter flow chart. So when she enter the flow chart, I no need to read all these things. Okay, I just need to see this, what she want to do. So this is what I mean, the flow chart for research methodology. Pictures carries more information than words. So by looking at the picture, I can see what is the flow of her work going to be. Okay, next I move on to Gantt chart of milestone. This one I already show you. So this one she put her milestone. Actually this one cannot put milestone. She must put what are the activities. This milestone must put here. This is description of activities. So she make a mistake here. Okay. Then is the budget. I have explained this budget just now to you all. How to write a budget. The same thing lah. Okay. And then expected outcome. This is what's the difference between scientific writing and research proposal. In research proposal, we just can put expected because this is a plan. Not necessarily what your plan is workable. Okay, so you just can predict this is what is going to happen from your work. So this is the expected outcome, what you are expecting. Okay, and finally is the reference. References, you write down all the references that you use to develop. So this is an example of a research proposal. If you can do this, it's enough for you to start your work. Okay. So now, give me 2 seconds. I will few seconds. I will share back my PowerPoints with you. Okay. So let us go back to our continuation of our talk today about research output. So now I already have a method to do. I have a model that I propose how I'm going to do the model. So now what I'm expecting the output from my research. Okay. So for output, what I need is this. Research objective is fulfilled or not? How about the literature review? Has it been done comprehensively? Comprehensive means is it sufficient information needed? And then have I decided the research method and can the research method is applicable in the problems that I proposed? And then is the findings and this all consists in the discussion part. Okay. Next, in this discussion part, we discuss everything, but we consist brief and specific. As what I said just now, right? For example, you're doing a survey about Lake Harapan in your report, right? But you no need to describe how deep, where is Lake Harapan is situated in Malaysia, in Pulau Pinang Island, towards the north of Penang Island, beside USM, inside USM. No, you just put one sentence there, the position of latitude and longitude. Describe where is the Lake Harapan. So that's why I said your writing must be concise and specific. Okay, in this chapter, you will state all your interpretations. You must relate your output with your theory, the model proposed. Is it tally or not? Tally means it's the same. Don't hear you talk about chicken. In your output, you're talking about cow. It's not tally. Both must be the same. And you must also find out what is the lack or disadvantage of your model, and you must propose a way how to overcome this. Maybe you cannot complete in this master level, you're not enough sufficient time, or you already fulfill all the objectives for your master level, so you just write I'm planning to do it in future. Okay, next is the main function is to answer the question. Still remember your research question, right? How and why. So this research question is answerable in research output. Okay, and you must always double check. When you read your discussion research output, you must see, oh, all my research object questions which I impose has been answered. If just one question was not answered, you'll be in problem. Okay. So this usually consists of chapter 5. In chapter 5 is all this. That is the important part of your master thesis, is your discussions and your proposed theory. Chapter 4 is your proposed work. Chapter 5 is your discussion. So in chapter 4 and 5 is mother and daughter must be related with each other, the discussion, and cannot have any arguments, okay, or contradiction between these two things. So in chapter 5, it will consist of introduction, recapitulization of the study. That means important points in the study you must relate in your discussion. Okay, and then you must have discussion of findings, implications. Okay, what is the implication? If, for example, if R not too high, R not too low, what is the implications? And then also limitations. What I said, you yourself admit this is what I cannot done in my work. Don't let the examiner to ask you this. Okay? Then you must recommend what you can do to overcome this. Next is conclusion. Okay. So, introduction, what I said, the purpose of the chapter and the organizations of the chapter. Just a small one paragraph. You write in this chapter, we will discuss the results obtained for using this method to simulate this data set. What platform? That is important. Platform is, for example, students who use programming, they must mention I use a laptop, maybe I use Fujitsu laptop of this memory, this RAM, to train the data by using MATLAB version R12 released which year. All you must explain what platform you use. And then if you have parameters, for example, you said you want to use number of iteration 1000, you must say number of iteration I use is 1000, the termination criteria is 0.001. You must also justify why you say 1000, why you must say 0.001. All this right in the introduction before you carry out your discussion. Okay? Then the next is recapitalizations of the study. So you must summary of the overall research, the research objective, the method, and your overall findings. Okay? Then you write your discussion. the skill in writing a successful discussion is you must move backward and forward between other research and your own research. Okay. What you must do, you must always show your work is better than others. So you must say, oh, this researcher never do this, but I do this. This researcher don't have a good performance by using this delta goes to 0.1. But with my proposed model, when I use delta goes to 0.1, I can get better results. So this is how we are showing my model is good. For example, you want to sell a perfume. So you must show what is the good thing about your perfume. Why this perfume CK is not good. Why my perfume is good. Then only your perfume people will buy. Same here. You must justify, you must find strong evidence to show people to buy your idea. Okay? Then you must show how this person's disadvantage you have make it to advantage. Okay. Discussions of the findings, the does and don'ts. So what I said just now, do not repeat your results. Okay, discussion need not be lengthy. Maybe you think, oh, why my discussion chapter is just 3 pages. If you have a strong justification, strong discussions, 3 pages is enough. Okay, you don't need add on the same thing again and again. This is not a poem for you to recite the poem again and again. Okay, the discussion of the findings should clearly and fully support explaining and defend your findings. Okay, next. Organize your discussion. Some students have this problem. They explain the tail first and then only they explain the head. So it's very hard for the examiner or the reader to get the idea. Okay, so you must make sure your writing is well organized from specific to general, or you want to do general to specific. The best thing is from general to specific. And then sometimes some students, they use different terms. For example, you use maybe you use Z for global ratio in one section, but another section you use ZM as a global ratio. So you see the terms are not the same. So it will be very confusing the reader. Okay. Okay. And then for each research questions, discuss each hypothesis separately. Okay. And then you see how the hypothesis compliance with your research questions. Okay. And then you must also say is your research question and hypothesis can complement each other. That is very important. And finally, don't forget to defend your answers. Okay. Okay. You have so many results. Okay. But you don't know which result is important, which result is not important. How you want to distinguish between these two? Okay. The result which answer your research questions is the valid one. The others, you can put it aside. Okay. If your result does not support your hypothesis, then you have to do a lot of explanation. So try to put it aside like this type of problem. Try to run from the problem. Don't get into the problem by you want to show to examiner, I do so much of work. Okay, but you will be drowning in your own results. Okay. When you do the discussion part, when discussing unexpected finding, okay, you will start with the finding and then you say what is the limitation in getting the finding and why that particular thing affect your work and how you want to overcome the problem. In another way, like this, you make a mistake. You know this thing is lacking in my work. You admit this is lacking, not confess. Okay? You make a mistake, you confess. This is not a mistake, just a lack in your work. So you said in this work, this parameter is lacking. So this make the results to be results not to convergence in the given tolerance value. Maybe in future works, this parameter can be considered. Okay, so you are showing the reader, you know the problem, you know how to settle. So you have justified your problem. You don't say, please forgive me, I never use this alpha goes to this. Don't penalize me for that. No need to ask for apologetic tone. Okay. Okay. How to identify potential limitation and weakness to explain unexpected findings. Okay, if your work got some unexpected findings, try to relate with your literature review. Who have that problem and what makes the problem and how to overcome it. If you don't know how to do the justification, just put it, this is for my consideration for future works. Okay? Okay. Implication. Okay? Implications, you must talk in the aspect of theory. What is the implications of your proposed model theoretically, practically, and also future research? Okay? Theoretical implications. Okay. What is actually theoretical implications? Okay, that means your new model, it's improve the theory, existing theory. It's a new knowledge in the field, and this model is very good insights in providing a path or idea for the future work for upcoming researchers. Okay, usually it's a tips for you lah. If you don't know how to choose your research topic, you don't know where to start, you are still blank, what you can do, you go and hunt for thesis maybe online or resource room in our school. Get some thesis maybe from your supervisors, ex-students or students who do similar research field like you. Get their thesis. Open up the chapter limitations, recommendations of future works. See what is the lack of their work. From there, you can get an idea where to start your work. Okay, for example, just now I say about using the parameter alpha in the work, right? You put in the future work. Maybe another researcher like you, a new one, go and read the thesis and see, oh, this is the future research. So that person can get an idea, try to use the alpha, develop the model again. So it will be a new contribution. So this is for students who still blank in getting idea of their research can do this. Okay. Next, practical implications. Practical implications mean what is the use of the model that you have developed. For example, model for determining the pollutants in Lake Harapan. So what the model will help you to determine the level of oxygen in the lake. So what is the steps can be taken after I determine the oxygen level. So this is the new insights derived from my work. From your right up. So for future research, I can provide record work. This is what I can provide. Okay, the type of recommendation, as what I said, can based on my limitations, can based on my findings. Maybe, for example, I can say my proposed model can be expanded for higher order networks by introducing a new parameter. So this is actually from my findings, and I can recommend it. Do not offer suggestion which could have been easily addressed within the study. Okay, if you suggest something others, everybody can see. For example, neural networks, for example, have a lot of models, theory, and algorithms, right? It has been developed for years already. So at the beginning, this network used backpropagation. Very primitive, very slow, and now no more researchers doing backpropagations really, because this is a very old method. So you no need to put in your TC, your report, that backpropagation cannot be used anymore because of this problem. Everybody know. Then why you want to do the suggestion? Okay, for example, you want to go to KL by driving car, that what you propose. So everybody, but you don't put in your work, I never propose walk to KL because it will take a long time and need more energy. Come on, everybody knows walking is will take a lot of energy, take a long time to KL. So this is some fact that everybody knows. So you don't need to put it at your implications. Okay, conclusion. Okay, in conclusion, you must explain how the results and conclusion of this study are important. This is very important. Actually, conclusions complements with your research objective. In your conclusion, you must write, has your objective been fulfilled? Okay, how they influence our knowledge or understanding of the problem being examined. Conclusion is that whether for in scientific writing, right, you said you want to propose a model for this problem. So in the conclusion part of the scientific writing, you must write what you can conclude from the paper, what you get from the paper. Then you can maybe put or 2 or 3 times additionally on how to improve it. Okay, so we move on to the last part of my workshop today. Just overall, how a good research will look like. Okay, here I will discuss with you about plagiarisms, ethics, about some motivational things about your research. Okay, whatever may be the types of research works and studies, one thing, it must be a scientifically defined work. Okay, a scientific research must follow the following criteria. What you want, the purpose, the objective of the research should be clearly defined and all the common concepts is being used. You must describe the sufficient details, for example, the limit, the future works and so on in sufficient details so that other researchers can follow your work and to continue your work. All the research methodology, how you implement all the research procedures must be planned carefully and be implemented. All the results that you present must be valid and reliable. You just don't simply create your results. The researchers who is very familiar with your work can identify if the result is fake or not. If you are being caught of producing fake results, you will be in problem. And finally, a good researcher also can conclude and make a good remarks of their work, the importance of the work, the limitations of the work. When a person reader reads your research proposal, they must have confidence that this work can be done and the way that has been proposed by the researcher is very systematic. They must have the trust of giving you the permission to do the work. Okay? Okay. When you do your works, you do not even think. This thing must not even come in your dream also. Plagiarisms, fabricating data, improper authorships, parallel submissions, and redundant publications. For example, plagiarisms, I think you have known. That means copy another person's work and declare it as your work. This sometimes, previously, this is something not easy to be detected. But now, by having software to detect plagiarisms and the wide range of networking now, it's very easy to detect whether your work is plagiarized or not. For example, when you send your publications to journals, it will be read by or reviewed by your reviewers who are experts in that field. So once they go through your papers, they can know is it plagiarized work or not. Another thing, by using softwares like Qunity and Onticates and so on, you can see how many percent of your work has been copied from others. Remember just now I show you research proposal example at the front page. I show you similarity index, right? That one will expose how much is your work is original, how much has been copied. That is fabricating data. This is what I mean. The results you never get. You never even do the experiment. You never even do the analysis, but you're providing the results. So that is what is fabricating data. Improper authorship means okay, when you do the paper, you take some main ideas, some parameters which was defined by others. Make sure you cite the researcher in that paper. If you never cite the researcher, you have two advantage. Can be accused of stealing another people's idea, or secondly, if your work, maybe the examiner can ask you how you choose alpha goes to 0.5, not 0.4 or 0.3. If you cite the person who have used alpha equals to 0.5 in his work, then you can answer your examiners or reviewer that this idea was taken from this paper written by this author. So you are escaped from the question really. Okay, parallel submission. This is something we cannot control, but this is not a good conduct in research. For example, you have an article, and usually when you send to journals, especially journals with free publications, right, it will even take 1 year for the reviewer to accept or reject your papers. Some researchers are very impatient. So what they do, they submit to parallel journals on the same time. What happened if you've been caught? Okay, the reviewer, usually they will Google, they will find everywhere has the publication has been submitted or has been reviewed or has been published anywhere. If you are caught to make parallel submission, the main disadvantage or main punishment will be you will be blacklisted from the journal. So it's not good for you as a researcher. Okay, so this is what I mean, plagiarism. You see, this boy, he copied everything from the internet. So this is a kind of plagiarism. So what is the consequences for the long term? Your reputation is run forever, and your results, nobody will trust your result anymore. So all this act is considered as plagiarisms. Okay? Fabricating data is what I said. You take another people's results or you create your own results which you never do on the simulations, or you never follow the proper tools of analysis. Improper authorships, as what I said, you never include or you write the names in wrong. Okay. Parallel submissions, journal editor constantly exchange informations, then they will find out whether you make parallel submissions or not. Okay. Usually examiners or reviewer of your scientific writing, your proposal, or will be looked through of your literature review. Is it you have made sufficient literature review? Have you addressed all the research gap? Is your literature review is the reason one? Is it from index journals? Okay, next, methodology. How you plan up your work. Next, analysis and results. And finally, discussions and conclusions. Even the comments are given to you also based on this checklist given. So another problem with some students is they start their research, then they don't know where to stop. Some students getting very much deep in the research process until they don't know where to stop. So as what I said, for master, there is some objectives that you need to cover. How heavy is your objective and how many objectives are you covered? Is it sufficient or not? Is decided by you and your supervisor and also the person who evaluates your research proposal. So after you know where is your objective, if you have fulfilled your objective, then you are ready for submission. Okay. Most of your thesis is joint work. As what I said, in your work, in your proposal, in your scientific writing, don't forget to acknowledge people. For example, I said just now, you take some parameters, some ideas from previous researcher, put it inside. Okay. Okay. And then how much length of your paper, research proposal? Some people ask for research journals. How many length of my paper? You say this person, he's a Nobel Prize winner and his PhD thesis is just 27 pages long. As what I said earlier of my talk today, the amount of words never determine the quality of your work. Okay, what determines the quality of your work is how much effort you have put in your work, not description. Okay, and sometimes this can happen. You feel tired with your work, so relax. Your research is like smell the roses along the way. Don't overstress yourself. Okay. So here, I would like just a motivation things. You must do at least a bit of work each day so that you can find your conclusions. And remember, all the person who do a research won't go mad. It depends, just saying only like that. Okay, I would like to share a video, informative video with you before I end my talks today.
In 1895, when he was 6 years old, his father passed away. His mother had to start working in a tomato cannery, leaving him to cook and care for his siblings. Life hit him hard at a very young age, and because of the difficult situation he faced, he had to work as a farmhand at the age of 10. When he was in 6th grade, he dropped out of high school and left his home. He started working as a painter of horse carriages. When he was 16, he faked his age to enlist in the US Army. After being honorably discharged a year later, he started working as a railway laborer, studied law at the nearby university, until he ruined his legal career by getting into a fight. He was forced to move back in with his mom and get a job selling life insurances. After some time, he got fired for not following orders. Some years later, he established a ferryboat company, and it was an instant success. Later on, he tried cashing in the ferryboat to create a chemical lamp manufacturing company, only to find out that another company was already selling electric lamps, much better than his company's lamps. All this hardship in life, but this guy wouldn't give up. He moved to work as a salesman for a tire company. But again, he lost his job when the company closed its manufacturing plant. By the age of 40, he met the general manager of an oil company, who asked him to run a service station for him. But the station had to close down again as a result of the Great Depression. That same year, a Shell oil company offered him a service station, rent-free, in return for paying the company a percentage of sales. He started operating the service station and also began to serve chicken dishes and other simple meals for people who were stopping by at the station. His pan-fried chicken soon became a favorite with the people of the area, and made him famous in the region. A few years later, he took out the station and started a proper restaurant. After fairly succeeding at this venture, he started to advertise his food, and to his shock, an argument erupted out of the blue with a local competitor and resulted in a fatal shootout, with one of his employees dying. 4 years later, he bought a motel next to his chicken restaurant, hoping for better business. But it caught fire and burned down to the ground together with his restaurant. Yet this ambitious man rebuilt and ran a new motel with a 140-seat restaurant, until World War II forced him to close it down again. When war had ended, he tried selling his recipes to other restaurants. His recipe was rejected 1,009 times, when finally, in 1952, he sold his secret recipe, Kentucky Fried Chicken, for the first time to the operator of one of the city's largest restaurants. It quickly became a hit, and as a result, several other restaurant owners franchised the concept and paid him 4 cents per chicken. However, good times didn't last very long. His own restaurant was crippled when an interstate highway reduced customer traffic. He sold it and was left only with his savings and $105 in Social Security. So finally, he pursued his dream to franchise his chicken concept nationwide and traveled the US looking for suitable restaurants. He opened a new restaurant and a company headquarters in 1959. He often slept in the back of his car. He visited restaurants, offered to cook his chicken, and if the owners liked it, then he negotiated a franchise right. In 1965, at the age of 75, he was just getting started. After years of rejection, failures, misfortunes, Colonel Sanders' franchise approach became highly successful. KFC was one of the first fast food chains to expand globally, opening outlets in Canada, UK, Mexico, and Jamaica by the mid-1960s. The Colonel remained the company's symbol after selling it. He traveled over 400,000 kilometers a year, visiting KFC restaurants and delighting customers around the world. At the age of 90, Colonel Sanders passed away. At that time, there were around 6,000 KFC locations in 48 different countries. In 2018, there were 22,621 KFC restaurants worldwide.
Okay. So students, this is what I would like to share with you all. Research have a lot of obstacles, okay, and don't give up. Always put your effort, be patient, and on the same time enjoy your journey in your research. For final year students, School of Mathematical Sciences welcome you to continue your research, your studies with us, so that we can always guide you. That's all for my workshop today. I pass it to Dr. Farah.
Thank you, Dr. Sarata. Dr. Sarata, for very inspiring, okay, and about research methodology. And I hope that all of you, especially the undergraduate final year students, can take this opportunity. And if you have anything that you would like to ask, okay, during this session, you can ask now. Yeah, this is like a Q&A session. Okay, so this event, okay, this workshop, we will share the recording session on the website, okay, and we will inform you the link later. Okay, Sarata?
Okay, Dr. Farah.
Yeah. So we will share with the students later on. Okay. So if you have anything that you would like to ask, okay, please you can ask our presenter today. So I think there is questions, yeah, from Wei Shan.
Okay, the student about research objective and research questions. Okay, research questions is like WH questions, as what I said, why and how. Research objective we derive from research questions. For example, why I use neural networks. The research objective, you have used neural networks to identify the classification patterns of the data sets. So you see here, the research objective answer the research questions. Okay, for example, how you measure the effectiveness of your proposed method. So your research objective, we use measuring the effectiveness of the method by parameters such as mean squared error, global minima ratios, and so on. So you can see here, research objective and research questions complement each other. Okay, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? So please use this opportunity to ask any questions. So because you will be going to do research later on. Okay, so I think from Anthony.
Okay, in the research proposal, are we expected to include? For research proposal, you no need to include table of contents. This table of contents is for thesis. Okay, and also like for dissertation write-up, you must include table of contents. Sectionalize the work, yes, you must. Because you need to separate which section for executive statement, which one is introduction, which one is literature review. It's better to sectionalize your work so that it's easier to go through the flow of your proposal. Okay, so any other questions can type. Okay, these questions about corresponding author I already explained. Usually, students will be the first author because the research findings and the paper is written by the student. So, you are entitled and you have the right to be the first author. But about corresponding author, it's better to put your supervisor because your supervisor is attached with the institutional. You, after you finish your studies, you left, but your supervisor will be there attached with the institution. So if any questions about your paper, anybody wants and to ask any question related with your paper, it's better for them to correspond, to write email to your supervisor rather than you. But however, these situations depends on the mutual understanding between the supervisor and student. Both of you must decide how is the terms. But to be fair and square, first author, in my opinion, okay, this is not a rule. In my opinion, the first author is the students, the corresponding is the supervisor. Okay?
So like I think this is like a general question. So for like final year students when they are finishing their project, what opportunity that they can publish their work, means that for final year undergraduates, postgraduate, master, mixed mode. So is there any opportunity they can publish, whether in the proceeding or in the papers? So how they can prepare for that
Okay.
once they have finished? Yeah.
Okay, surely when you have a research work, that means an idea to do research and you have established your research, you have your output, results, discussion, and so on. Not necessary, you must be a research student to publish. You can even be final year student, dissertations, anybody can publish if you have a results. What you need to do is you select a journal which you want to publish or proceedings or any open access journals also can. You just write up according to how I guide you about scientific writing, follow the requirement, the template and submit. It's better for you to collaborate with any of the lecturers to act as your supervisor to advise you more about where to submit, how to submit, the procedures of submissions. But publication is very important, is encouraged, not only in academic field, but if you go to company side also, they are encouraging their staff to publish their work. Okay, Dr. Farah, is it answer your question?
Yeah. Because this is so important, like for students when they are finishing. I think this is a good credit lah to their work. Okay, so you should have some intention to once you finish, not just finish like that means that you just left your work. At least you have something from what you have done. Okay, not just you left your research. Okay, if you have something, at least you put in some um, publish in journal or at least in the conference conference proceeding.
I have another two questions here. For the budget, if we really do not have anything to write, can we just skip the budget? Actually, it is advisable to put the research in research proposal, the budget, if you want to apply for funding or anything. But if you don't want to write, also it's okay. But for example, for the course KA 500 research methodology, it is advisable to write the budget lah. It's not necessary you put the budget, people must give you money. No, it's just a complementary sections only for your research proposal. Okay. Next, how do we get a cumulative link for the plagiarism check? Okay, this plagiarism check, if you go online, there are few software which is free to use, but some is they just check certain amount of words only, and then they'll ask you to pay. But in our School of Mathematical Sciences, we subscribe opportunity to do the check for your research proposal, paper writing, thesis, and so on. You need to email the staff in charge, indicate that you are a student under whose supervision and you want to do the cumulative screening to submit to where. So you can get it free of charge by contacting the staff in our school. Okay, another question. Is there any limitation to the number of literatures to be cited while writing for academic journals? Okay, as what I said, there is no limitations, but don't overstress in one section. Some students, they are carried out in literature review. They intend to write it very long and they forget to concentrate in other sections. If you feel your literature review is already review the recent year's papers, index paper, and you already answer the research gap, then you can stop. Okay? But just don't say to me, just put 2 or 3 literature review. 2 or 3 literature review surely won't answer your research gap. Okay? If you have sufficient information to support your research gap, and then you can stop writing the literature review part. Okay? Next, what is the difference between research objective and significance of the study? Okay, research objective explain what you want to achieve in your research. Significance of the study is how the output of your research can be used in your research field. That is the difference. No, it's not the same. The research objective is very specific. Significance of the study is more like in a larger domain. For example, just now I said about the model, right? So in the research objective, I want to do what with the model. But in the significance of the study, how that model can develop the research field of neural networks. So that is the contribution towards the research field. Research objective is contribution towards your work for your master thesis.
Dr. Sarata, maybe they have like because sometimes in the first chapter or because sometimes they have questions about how actually they want to create a problem statement. What are the guidance for the students in order to write the problem statement? So maybe there are some guidance like when they want to write, what they need to know in order to come up with their problem statement in their research.
Okay, Dr. Farah, this one I have given the tips in writing how to write problem statements. There are a few steps I have explained at the earlier of the talk how to do a good problem statement. So as what I said, problem statement is a bigger picture of what is your problem that you're going to address, how you want to address, and how you want to measure you already address, and what is the expected outcome on how you are addressing the problem. That is the problem statement. What you want to solve. That is what is the problem statement. You can refer to the recorded lecture later. So identify research gap in research. Identify research gap is not the research question. Research gap means what are the lack of another person's research that you want to fulfill. Research question is what you want to answer in your work. So research gap is different from research question. Next, how to tackle research gap is research objective and contribution of solving to the overall. Okay, actually, your questions is quite messed up. I try to answer one by one. The first one, research gap and research question is totally different. Okay, you derive your research objective from your research gap. For example, just now I said how the model can evaluate the effectiveness of the R naught. So your research objective is to evaluate the RO effectiveness in the aspect of what. So you see here how punya the house research question I have converted to the research objective. Okay, this research gap will contribute to the significance of the study. Yes, because research gap explain what are the lack in the field of research that you are examining. So when you answer your research gap, you can bring it as a general statement how that research gap fulfill your significant study.
So I hope that it has, I mean, at least answered some of the questions. And if you have anything, okay, you can email us anything. Okay, so we hope that your next journey when you want to do research, okay, at least whatever that we have shared today can give some foundations, okay, for you to start up, okay, and also always have a mature discussion with your supervisor later on, okay, and then start early so that you know or you can prepare yourself. Okay, is there anything, Dr. Sarata?
No,
Any
that's all,
last word?
Dr. Farah. That's all, Dr.
Thank you.
Farah. Best of luck for your research journeys, and for final year students, please consider hardly and also about your future. Please do your research or further up your studies in your master to help you to establish in your job later on. Okay, that's all, Dr. Farah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Sarata. I, on behalf of the School of Mathematics, would like to thank everyone who have spent their times from 9 a.m. till now. Okay, I hope that it has something important for you. We share some important things related to the research, okay? And we hope that everyone can take the benefits of it. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, to the academics too who have attended, to the students, especially the final year undergraduate, to the postgraduate, okay? School, hope that all of you can get something from what we have shared today. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Sarata, and to all of you. So hope that all of you can have a great day ahead. Okay, and Assalamualaikum.